Against all the evil that hell can conjure, all the wickedness that mankind can produce, we will send unto them only you. Rip and tear until it is done.
Can't hold them off! I can hear them. Fall back! No! They're everywhere!
Transmitting from HV1556.
Casualties range in the billions.
We must pray now, brothers. Pray that he is watching.
Please, anyone, if you can hear me, if you're out there.
Attempting to acquire the Hellpriest signal.
Nearly 60% of our planet has been consumed by the invaders.
We have the Hellpriest signal locked in. The target is marked, but the signal will not hold for long.
For it is he that they fear, not man, or his armies. They fear the mark of the beast.
Is anyone left? Somebody! Please help us!
Well, here we are with the much anticipated sequel to Doom 2016, Doom Eternal. Now, this isn't gonna be a review. This is more of just me talking about the game. I'll structure a real review later on. If you're wondering why, it's because, well, you're probably thinking, hey, it's been like, what, 3 days? You should have beaten the whole game like 6 times over by now, right? That's what a true gamer would do. I mean, of course, I've already beaten the game. But, problem is that all the footage I captured looks like this. So you know it isn't exactly usable, to say the least. But, well, let's just talk about my overall opinion on the game. Game is so much fun, as everyone has definitely told you by now. I'm certain I'm not your first choice for an opinion on the game. So, I gotta go with my maybe unique perspective, let's call it. The game... Let's say that the game comfortably ignores its prequel. Yeah, Doom 2016 is almost completed, or treated as if it didn't happen at all. Which is a odd choice. It doesn't actually affect things that much. But, for example, the game starts off with, as you saw, Doom Guy standing above standing in his weird space fortress that he acquired somewhere, watching humanity get killed, or perhaps preparing to fight for humanity. Although he seems to not be busy, so he's just kind of like, oh, it's at 60%. Human race is 60% dead. Alright, it's time. I should probably go in now. It's a bit odd. There's no, like, 5 years later from the events of the last game. If there is, it's in the documents that you get throughout the games, the codex pages. I haven't read any of them yet, so this opinion is, let's say, untainted by my own personal desire for in-game knowledge. I'm doing this based off the opinion of someone who wouldn't read the codex pages. So, Doom Guy, after having apparently gotten back from wherever the hell Samuel Hayden sent him at the end of the last game, and Samuel Hayden apparently messing up again and getting the demons to just invade Earth. I mean, in case everyone forgot, it wasn't exactly a given that the demons would invade. They act like it was, but last time, in the previous game, Olivia Pierce needed to let the demons into Mars. This time, it seems they just kind of showed up. It's a bit weird. So without wishing to spoil too much, I would say that the plot is definitely the weakest aspect of the game. By a lot, actually. Well, let's put it like this. Assume everything but the plot is perfect. And that's why the game is as good as it is. I mean, it's not like Doom has ever really had amazing plots. The previous one was just kind of, Doom Guy was asleep, he's awake now, all demons shall die. With some nuance here and there. Samuel Hayden remains an interesting character, and based on what they're definitely setting him up to be in the third game, because there will be a third one, he's a lot more interesting than important than he lets on. But that's more, conjecture rather than deliberate storytelling. The story in this one largely focuses around killing 3 Hell Priests that are apparently needed, for whatever reason, to invade Earth. The Hell Priests weren't needed to invade Mars, so who knows why Earth needs them. But the Hell Priests are all people the Doom Guy knew at some point. In fact, the amount of times where you go to a place from the Slayer's past is kind of comical, almost. It's like, hey, you need this thing. Good thing this place from your past has it. It's like, wow, cool. How come the Slayer didn't know about that? Like, did he just forget? Or did he not think it was necessary? Because Vega and Samuel Hayden both apparently know everything about the Slayer. Later on, it's like, oh, you need your crucible, which is your sword from the cover art. And you need it, and it's in a place from your past, on this planet, and the only entrance to this planet is, like, this weird place. Or no, I'm thinking of something else. Yeah, it's like the final Hell Priest's hidden. Samuel Hayden, apparently just being filled in, is immediately like, hey, I know where he is. Also, the only way to get to where he is like this secret portal at the center of Mars, for some reason. So, you can't really get there. admittedly, there's a very cool, it's cool setup for a scene, but it doesn't make much sense. In fact, let's just call this what it is. The story is not a narrative. It is set up for a series of really cool moments. Not that there's anything wrong with that. In fact, that may be the most appropriate thing for Doom. I mean, like, if you were to have someone sitting there spouting exposition at Doom Guy, he's more likely to bash their heads in than listen to them patiently. But still, in fact, there's a certain point in the game where it starts showing you pieces of Doom Guy's past, and he talks and whatnot, and it's like, oh, we found him wearing this armor, and it's the old armor from the original Doom. It's a nice touch, but it still doesn't really explain much. It's like, oh, he joined the Sentinels because they found him at their front door like a lost puppy or an abandoned baby or something. Or how they're kind of writing Doom Guy to be the video game equivalent of Harry Potter, which is really odd when you think about it. I don't know, he's like a non-character. I remember in interviews when this game was, when it wasn't out yet, they were talking about, we're really looking forward to delving into Doom Guy's past. Except not really, apparently. It's like, oh, this is where he got his armor and his sword that he left here for some reason. But that's about it. They don't really go into much, like who he is, why he's so angry. Honestly, it's probably because of his bunny rabbit, if I remember correctly. But I don't know. It seems messy. It's just, like I said, it's just a platform for cool moments to happen. For Doom Guy to like come in and ruin whoever's day it is that he's going to see. But at the same time, this is just my personal opinion, I think that the ending missed the trick. It was, to me, it seemed obvious that Doom Guy would use his sword, spoilers here, on the final boss in the same way that, God, what's his name? Right, Matthew McConaughey from Reign of Fire. That scene near the end where he jumps at the dragon with his axe. Well, I mean, he dies in that scene, spoilers, but I was picturing a scene like that, but with Doom Guy and his sword. Or, you know, to do a more, you know, game-oriented scene. The scene from the Warlords of Draenor trailer, where Garrosh stabs, what's his name? Mannoroth, right? Or not Garrosh, just Hellscream, right? His dad jumps up and stabs Mannoroth with Gorehowl. A scene like that, but with Doomslayer and a giant demon. That's what I was picturing for the ending. And what happened felt like an anticlimax in comparison. To be honest, it's the only point of the game I was actually disappointed in something that happened. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I have an overactive imagination. Maybe I should be on their design team. Who knows? Just kidding, of course. Not that I wouldn't like to work for a company like id. Just, well. Anyway. So aside from those things, what was one other thing that I had a problem with? Right. The Marauder. Now, the Marauder is a really cool and really well, I wouldn't say well designed, but really interesting new addition to the enemy roster. However, him being a standard enemy, well, not standard exactly, but a tougher than normal standard enemy, kinda lets down his intrigue a bit. I know he's supposed to be a demon corrupted sentinel, so that I guess they could mass produce them. But the way he talks when you first meet him is that he knew Doom Guy personally. In fact, the way that they present him in the trailers is the same way. And they talk about how he's a person from Doom Guy's past. Okay? They're all technically people from Doom Guy's past, in the same way that all of your co-workers are someone from your past. They're not exactly out to kill you, or you don't have personal beef with them at all times. It just, I don't know. I feel like they misused him. But that's not actually what I was getting at. What bothers me about him, really, is the gameplay. Which is, I think, like the one mark on an otherwise flawless gameplay record for this game. See, every single demon in the game, with some exceptions I think, has a weak spot that you can shoot to, weaken them. And each enemy has more or less a specific way you're supposed to fight them, so that, you fight them efficiently. The Arachnotrons, you shoot off their turret. Mancubus, you shoot off their arms. Revenant, you shoot off their little shoulder cannon things. For the Whiplash, you have to dash to avoid those laser shockwave things. So everyone has a unique mechanic that is trumped by one of your own mechanics, which is good. It lets gameplay be dynamic, so that you should be aware of how to fight every single demon. The Marauder is an exception to this. The Marauder only has a single way you can fight him properly. It's not, he's weaker this way. No, it's, you have to fight him this way. So the way the Marauder works, actually, before I get into this, I'll tell you a little story. So the first mission, when you walk to meet the Marauder, you get a tutorial as soon as you start fighting him, telling you how to beat him. I found this out after the fact, because I turned tutorials off. I was tired of them spoiling what new enemy I was going to meet. It's like, hey, by the way, you're about to meet Whiplash for the first time. This is what you should do, etc. Here's how you beat it, instead of, letting you figure out for yourself. So I turned them off. I'm like, well, that's ruining this suspense. Okay. But when I ran into the Marauder, I needed the tutorial to actually find out how to fight him at all. See, he's resistant to super weapons. Not that you have the BFG or your sword at that point, but that makes him the only demon that is, I'm pretty sure. And he also only has a single point in his, fight choreography, let's say, where you can attack him. So if you get too close to him, he'll shotgun you and push you back, and he'll push you into long range. And when you're at long range, he'll fire laser blades at you with his axe. Each of these does huge amounts of damage. If you're too far away, even further than that, he'll summon his little wolf dog thing. They say they're wolves, but they don't look like wolves, to be honest. Anyway, so he summons his little wolf and it starts chasing after you and biting you, and there's bite marks on your screen, and it's really annoying. And you turn around and look at him if you're running away, and he's actually sprinting after you. Like full sprint, both his arms swinging. It's actually very scary. Well designed scary. I like it. Problem is, so far, at all of these points that I've been talking about, you can't shoot him. If you shoot him at all during this time, he will put up a shield and block the damage. The only time you can hit him is when you're in mid-range and he starts to swing at you. His eyes will then glow green and you can shoot him. And if you're shooting at him with anything other than one of the two shotguns, you're doing it wrong, pretty much. In fact, he seems to have been designed entirely for you to fight with the super shotgun, because you fight him at the ideal range for it. However, what constitutes as mid-range is liquid at best, considering he sprints around, dashes behind you, and shotguns you in the back of the head if you're not fast enough. At least on Ultra Violence. I don't know if any other difficulties changed that. But my problem is that he forces you to play a certain way. No other demon in the game does this. Which, you know, it does indeed make him a very interesting and different fight from everyone else. But that doesn't make him fun to fight. If a Marauder shows up at any point during all these fights, you then have to spend the entire time basically running away from him, clearing out every other demon in the room so that you can fight him properly. Because if some other demon attacks you and you're forced to like back up, suddenly you're out of mid-range and he'll shoot a laser beam at you. Or sometimes you're in mid-range and he'll still shoot a laser beam at you because he just feels like it. Or he'll start winding up his attack, you'll shoot him, you'll see the little blood chunks fly off him, but he'll continue his attack anyway and kill you. So, you know, it's not exactly as if it works every time. I think that if they had just made it so that at long range you can't shoot him, but anywhere from mid to close range you can hit him, and countering him staggers him, it would have been better. Would it have been easier? Sure. But it would have definitely been more fun. In any case, that's like my one complaint about the gameplay. Everything else is so much fun. Meat hook, double dashing through the air, meat hooking to a cocodemon or whatever they're called, blood punching them, executing them, getting your dashes back, dashing over again, hooking to someone across the room, then dashing midway through the hook to like drift around them, pulling out the rocket launcher, blasting them in the ass. Honestly, it's so much fun. And I can't really think of anything they're gonna do to improve the gameplay. I mean, I guess they could add bullet time, but they do kind of already have that in this, although it's only when you're almost dead. So, I don't know. The gameplay is pretty much perfect, aside from the Marauder. Other than that, I see no problems. The gameplay's perfect. The soundtrack, everyone knows about the soundtrack. There's the meme that it's so nice of Mick Gordon to release his soundtrack with an entire free game attached to it. Is pretty indicative of how good the soundtrack actually is. And it's the only one of its kind. Guy putting like heavy metal choirs and chainsaws into the sound, lawnmowers, wood chippers. Crazy bastard. Makes it iconic. It's great. So the sound's perfect. Gameplay's perfect. The visuals are really, really nice. The fact that it can load all the levels that it does at the speed that you're going around, without like any tear or frame rate lag. And it also doesn't seem too hard on the graphics card because my desktop didn't heat up much playing it, as opposed to during Doom 2016, where my desktop almost had a heart attack during some levels. So technically, or from a technical standpoint, it is a major improvement as well. So graphics, technicals, sound, and gameplay are all perfect 10 out of 10s, let's say. So that leaves story, which isn't exactly impressive. But Doom barely had a story to begin with, so I'd say it's passable. If the next one improves on the story in a coherent way, not just adding stuff randomly, being like, here's this thing, and this thing, and this thing over here. Also, we're adding this little bit over here. It's cool, right? How does it fit together? Kinda doesn't, but we're gonna find some way to do it anyway. If they make it a coherent narrative, they don't need to, honestly. They could just dump narrative entirely. But I would personally appreciate it. Yeah. So that's kind of my rant, I guess. I mean, the game's great. Like, give it a 9 out of 10. Easily. Maybe even a 10 out of 10. Nah, maybe not a 10 out of 10. 9.5 at the most. Yeah, that's my opinion on Doom Eternal. You know what? Actually, since this is basically a review anyway, and everyone already knows their opinion on the game, let's just say this is the review. Score is a 9.5 out of 10. There you go. Bam! Excellent game. Must buy, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, I think maybe I'll do a Let's Play after this. Yeah, I think I will actually. Run through the game on Nightmare. It'll be fun. Yeah. I'll see you next time. See ya.